Well, Kurdish militias have started their withdrawal from the northern city of Manbij. And the move comes after President Donald Trump's decision to pull U.S. forces out of the area. It also comes as Turkey, who sees the Kurds as terrorists, increases troops along the Turkish-Syrian border. The US-backed Kurds have been some of the most effective fighters against ISIS in northern Syria. But now their fate is even more uncertain. At a cabinet meeting on Wednesday, President Trump acknowledged fighting with the Kurds, but made clear that getting out of Syria is the priority.
You know, when we send 30 F-18s in front of them, they fight much better than they do when we don't. And you've seen what's happened. But we want to protect the Kurds. Nevertheless, we want to protect the Kurds. But I don't want to be in Syria forever.
And joining me now is Rob Prince, lecturer at the Josef Korbel School of International Studies at the University of Denver. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Retired lecturer.
Okay, got that. Congratulations on that. Okay, so
thank you.
Tell me the significance of the pullout by the Kurds.
Well, briefly speaking, we're in a situation now where everything is changing in Syria because of the situation on the ground, meaning very simply that the Syrian government, supported by the Iranians and the Russians, essentially have won. What have they won? They've basically prevented the partition of the country, which was the plan of those who are trying to undermine that government.
Okay.
So in this mess that we're looking at, we see different countries changing sides, positioning themselves for the new realities. One of them is Turkey, and now we see the situation of the Kurds. The Kurds who most recently were essentially abandoned by the United States and forced to kind of look at their options. And what were their options? The main thing that they decided was that their future lies with Syria and with the Syrian government. This changing chemistry is sometimes a little difficult to follow from here, but what we're really looking at is the end of a war and how the war ends up.
All right, so the Kurds have been the main element of the US-backed force, the SDF, that's been fighting ISIS. And President Trump says ISIS has been defeated in Syria. I know you describe this as a defeat for the United States, the pulling out and the lack of partitioning of Syria. But what about ISIS specifically? Has ISIS been defeated, do you believe, in Syria?
Well, for the most part, it has been, but it really wasn't the United States that did that, or to a very, very small degree. Again, it was the Syrian government and its allies that did it. There are two pockets left. One is in the northwest in the region of Idlib, and the second pocket is that pocket in the area where the United States is east of the Euphrates River. The Syrian government is insistent on gaining control over its entire territory. So how the situation plays in these two areas, we'll see it over the coming period. Anyhow.
Well, yeah, okay. So Turkey is now free to mass troops on the border, and reports are that's exactly what they're doing. So what is the new role for the Turks as the U.S. and the Kurds pull out?
Well, you know, Turkey's role is kind of changing. Let's just remember that Turkey is really one of the main supporters of these Islamic militant groups, and now it's trying to kind of downplay that role as the situation in the ground has shifted. So its alliance has shifted as well, and so it finds itself in this kind of funny situation where it can no longer basically go along with U.S. dictates on the one hand, but doesn't want to get too close to the Russians on the other hand. So it's caught. But the main problem from Turkey isn't really being discussed in the media. The main problem is a lot of these Islamic militants who are trained in Turkey, and if those forces are defeated in Idlib, they're going to wind up going back into Turkey. That's the Turkish fear. The Turkish fear is what it is set in motion at this point in Syria now is going to come back and hit it in the back of the neck, a kind of blowback.
Let me ask you this. There have been reports that and theories that Trump had a conversation with Erdogan, who said, get out of, why don't you get out of Syria? And Trump said, oh, good idea, and announced we're getting out of Syria. Now, I know Turkey's in NATO, but notwithstanding all that, do you believe that Erdogan played a role in Trump's decision to get out of Syria?
It's a bit more complicated than that. Basically, Turkey is scrambling at this present moment to to do damage control in Syria, and it's using the Khashoggi murder, the leverage that it has, to try to get concessions from the United States over Syria. It wants a role in Syria as the Syrian government gains control of the country. Some kind of role. And so that's what's all these complicated negotiations that are taking place behind the scenes between the Turks and the Russians and the U.S., and you can't follow them. But Turkey is in crisis, and the crisis is one that's self-inflicted. That's the point that I want to make, particularly about what it's done in Syria.
Point well made. Point well made.
Yes.
Enjoyed our conversation, sir. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Take care. Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.